Hello guys, so as we were talking before, if you look carefully, there are some similarities between this part when we were trying to prevent bad input on the edge. Can you see this part here from line number 8 to line number 15? It is very similar to this part from line number 23 to line number 30. So can't we just put this code block into a particular function, and then instead of rewriting this here, and we are doing the same thing here, why not just call that function and then pass this at this particular point, and then call that function, and then once we call that function, we pass this at that particular point. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me show you what I mean. Because we're actually repeating the same logic on different parts of our program. So why not put that logic in one particular place, in one particular module, in one particular function, and then whenever we need that logic, we just call that function instead of having to rewrite that logic again. You get my point? Yeah. So let us see what we can do here to try to improve. So let us try. For example, you can create a function called is valid integer, okay? And then this function is going to receive a string, for example, and then this string will be, okay, let me put a variable here, let's say an input, okay? I call my variable input, okay? So it means the input is coming as a string at first, and then what I'm doing inside here, I'm going to try to convert that input into an integer, okay? I'm going to try to convert that input into an integer. So I'm going to declare a variable here. I'm going to call that variable, maybe let's say input, but in this particular moment I will call it int to distinguish this one from this one here, okay? And then inside here I'm trying to convert, I'm using story to convert this string into an integer. If story will succeed, I want to store that new value, which is now an int. I want to store it in this variable, okay? But if story fails, I want to capture that. That exception, and then once I capture that exception, I have to decide what I want to do. Okay, I have to decide what I want to do. Now, here I just want to return a boolean. Okay, so if I succeed, I just want to return true. Okay, I just want to return true, because you see the name of my function is valid integer. Is valid integer. Is it a valid integer? You get my point. So if this function succeeds, I want to return true. It is a valid integer. However, if that function fails, then it will throw an exception. It will throw a runtime error. I'm going to capture it, and once I capture it, I'm going to return false. I'm not. Okay, if you want, you can also display a message somewhere here before returning false, okay, no problem, but you have to remember to return, because this function is returning a value, okay? Yeah, but for now, let me not display a message, okay? Yeah, if you want, you can display that message, no problem, okay, no problem. So if I come here, instead of writing like this, for example, I can say while. So I want to do this, okay? So let me do something here. Let me put this variable outside my do brackets, because I want to use it here. I want to improve this code a little bit. I want to play around with it, okay? Yeah, so let me put my variable here. So let me say string, let me call it string edge, okay? String edge, okay? All right, then inside here I don't need to declare it again, okay? And then I can change this variable to string edge, okay? And then here I can just call my function. I can just call my function, which is valid. Okay, I can just say, okay, so you can do something like this. Do do this, okay, and then while okay, let me show you. Let me show. There are two approaches to do this. Okay, you can do it like this. You can say if it is a valid integer, and then you are passing that string input. Okay, you are passing it to that function. Okay, so if it is a valid integer, what do you want to do? You want to do this. Okay, you want to do this. You get my point? So you have tested, is this a valid integer? If the function tells you true, it is a valid integer, then you want to take that value being returned by story and put it in your integer variable. You get my point? And then immediately you're going to do what? You're going to break. Okay? Yeah. So this will work. So break here will terminate the loop. You get my point? So you can do it like this. It will work. Okay? It will work. Alright? And then you can do the same thing down here. Okay? You can do the same thing down here. So instead of writing like this, you can just say if is valid, you can call your function is valid integer, and you are passing this movie type string. Okay, so let me declare it. Okay, it can even stay inside, no problem. So I can call it movie type. So is valid integer movie type. Okay. So if it is a valid integer, what do you want to do? We just want to save it in your int variable. Okay, so you're going to say, since it is a valid integer, then give me that valid integer. Give it to me. So this function will return to you that valid integer, and you're going to store it here. You get my point? And then at that particular moment, you're going to break to terminate the loop, because this loop is infinite. So you have to terminate it. You have to terminate that loop. So this will also work. Okay, this approach will also work. It will just work. And to make this code even much more readable, so for now, since string age is only being used inside the do brackets, fine, you can choose to keep it outside, but even inside it was just okay. I was worried at first. I thought I was also going to use it somewhere outside the do brackets, but since I'm still using it inside, let me just leave it there. Okay, so if you look at this carefully, you will discover that we can improve this further. Okay, we can put this inside a function to make this code more readable. Okay, so I can say here get valid age. Okay, get valid. I can create a function like this one here. Okay, and then this function, it will not need an input. Okay, and then inside this function I can put that code here. Okay, and then I can declare a variable here. I can call it age inside my function, and then here I can return the age. Okay, so this function is going to return the age, which is an integer, so I'm going to specify there. Okay, so here I can just say get valid age. Okay, get valid age, and then inside here I can also improve this part here. Okay, I can make this something like get movie type, something like that. Yeah, so I can remove this, and then I can create a function somewhere here. I can call it get movie type, something like this, get movie type. Okay, so again it will not be receiving any inputs. So inside here I'm going to put this code. Okay, I'm going to put, then here I'm going to say int type, and then yeah, it will be something like this. And then at the end we are going to return, okay, we are going to return something which is the type, okay, which is the type. And then here I can say int get movie, yeah, because this function is returning an int, okay. So when I come back here, I can just say get movie type, okay. It doesn't need any inputs, okay. Yeah, much better. Do you see that you are trying to reduce the too many things problem, okay? Because when you have too many things inside here, sometimes it can be very confusing. But now you have some small modules, which is much better, okay? Yeah, the main function now is a bit smaller, so this is better, but you can improve it further if you want. You can, for example, you can say, for example, this part here. When you see this part here, you can also remove it from here. So I can remove it from here, and I can create a function. I can call this function display ticket price, okay. It only needs the age for now. It only needs to receive the age, okay. And then inside it was asking for the movie type. This function, after it is being called, initially when you are calling it, you are just going to pass the age, and then inside the function itself, somewhere, if the user has an age of above 12, okay, you are going to also get the movie type from that particular user, okay. And as you can see, this function does not need to return anything, you see, so it's void, okay. Yeah, so I know you can design this program anyhow you want, so this is just one of the ways, okay. Feel free to do whichever other way. So when I come here, I just say display ticket price, it only needs what? The age. It only needs the age, you see. Yeah, something like that, you see. It is very simple, eh? Yeah, do you see how we have reduced our main function? Yeah. And you can see the program will still work. You see, it is working. If I enter 50, if I enter 2, yeah, it's working perfect, okay. And if I enter a wrong value, if I enter 50 and I enter a wrong value, it still prompts me again and again. So perfect. Thank you.